Welcome to Nani Talks, the only anime podcast from the mandem. I'm your host, TC Division.
Quantum One,
Slick,
Big Miko.
This next topic is about manga versus comic. About why has manga outsold comics? Comics being around, I think it's 1842, something along those lines. Why has manga outsold comics in such a huge fashion? What is it that manga's dodging?
You know what I've noticed? I think there's still like a tie between animation and like their counterparts in books. And I feel like there's been such a decline of like superhero movies. Like Marvel was like the biggest thing back in like 2017 or something like that, like with Avengers and the whole Endgame thing. And now that it's dropped off, people are stopping caring about like their comics and stuff like that because anime is on the rise. Manga's starting to get on the rise as well. People are starting to get introduced to that sort of world, like the Japanese culture and all of the things that come with it, I think.
I agree. When we done quite a bit of market research, and we went round to we had a year where we went round to all the Comic-Cons that was in the UK. And what we noticed was that as soon as you walk through and you're looking around, it's minimal comic, the superhero vibe.
It was minimal.
It was purely anime. I feel like it was almost next to non-existent, and it was more. You might see cosplayers in that kind of vibe, but I feel like the cosplayers were more. Even cosplayers, I feel like what we're looking at now is more games. You're cosplaying games and you're cosplaying anime. So I just feel like there's been a big transition and a big shift in. Even now, when you see our favorite streaming platforms, Netflix is doing a huge anime push. Disney seems like they're kind of torn between pushing Marvel and pushing anime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the Crunchyroll's obviously on their roll. I feel like webtoons are coming up now as well. I feel like we're on a big rise now.
That's true.
I think, obviously, again, I don't know if it's facts, but for me, I'd say it's probably manga's stories are a bit more linear. They're very much intricate, still same way, but I feel like with comics, they got a lot more, let's say the multiverse, and there's so many more ideas and stories they can put in there, but at the same time, there's so much you got to keep up with.
Yeah, there's like 12 different Batmen.
Yeah, so it's those runs. It's just a constant run of the next run of the next run, and each run is a different team.
Right.
So a manga has the artist, the author. He does the artwork. He does the writing, right? And it's a long arc. There's a beginning and there's an end. And the manga's can potentially span many years. Whereas the comics, you just have, an arc. It for the length of a manga arc, you would have the whole comic, and then you just have a rerun, a different verse, a different flavor of Batman, a different flavor of Superman. And it just gets monotonous. It just gets boring over time. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of the time, right, what's happened over time is that the comics, the writers have decided to do whatever they want with the character. So you might have one storyline where Spider-Man is a standard Spider-Man. Someone else has taken over the story, and now Spider-Man can do things that he could never do. And then someone else has come back, and now Spider-Man's back to normal, and all of that has happened doesn't exist. And this is where that disconnect is starting to show, because when the movies have come out and people are looking to the movies like, oh, this is something exciting, this is new, they're referring back to the comics like, oh, is this comic accurate? You're doing this type of storyline. Is it accurate but then which storyline are you following?
Right.
And this is where I feel like a lot of the disconnect is coming. There's too many chefs
It's
in one
polluting the law.
And I see a lot of people always talk about, which character would be what character. But when it comes to comic book characters, you're like, what character? Like which one? Like which version of person? Because everyone in comic book history has like a cosmic buster version where they can take down a whole planet with one punch or something like that, or just literally lift up.
What version of Spider-Man we talking about?
Yeah, I'm saying
which version?
There's so many different versions and there's so much to keep up with. But with manga, you just have what it is.
Yeah,
like,
we
what the
celebrate
actual-
that one character for
Exactly.
many
Yeah.
years.
Literally.
I feel
and then
like
his
as well that
children.
you have that moment where you actually get to grow with the writer. Kind of where I feel like where we're in with anime, where we're getting these shorter seasons. I feel like that's one thing that I miss is that, like, you know, like Naruto, all the amount of episodes that we had there, like One Piece. And I know that everybody's looking at like the amount of episodes on the One Piece, but Michael, are you dying tomorrow? Is there a reason why you're like, because essentially, if One Piece was broken down into seasons and you was able to like watch at your leisure, like what's the stress about just watching it at your leisure? Like, this is the beautiful thing about 20-minute episodes. You watch for 20 minutes, you lock off, and every streaming platform right now, you can pick up where you left off. Like,
Yeah.
You know the craziest thing? There are people who complain about One Piece being so long, but you ask them if they've watched Grey's Anatomy's 20 seasons, they ain't said, no, yeah.
All the
no,
Love
it's really
Island.
cool.
Chances are you're watching Grey's Anatomy when it came out. Or when you're
But
watching
this
it season by
again, but
season.
again, it's 20 seasons.
All the Love
Yeah,
Islands
but you're
too,
watching
man.
it like when the seasons are coming out. You know what I mean?
but
Unless,
there's-
I mean, some people probably have
then-
binged it, but like...
See, but this is why I argue to people. I'm like, but you're saying that there's so many episodes that are there, but now, bro, you can just watch them at their own pace. Why are you worried about whether or not everybody's watching at the same time?
And you know
Why
what
would
it
you
is?
do that?
No, not even that. I think a big reason why they don't want to like watch One Piece all at once is because there's so many anime out there. There's so many and they come up with like 5 new anime like every year.
single
I hear that, I hear that.
Exactly. So you're like, oh, there's so many things to watch that are short, and I can just be done with that one rather than to start with this whole commitment of watching this anime for like
so what I'm
whole
hearing
year
is,
from now.
is that we're in that TikTok culture's screwing with us again.
It's probably even from Vine. I'll be honest.
From Vine.
From the 6-second videos. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what I guess that's what it started. You're right.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're definitely
yeah.
right. You're definitely right. Because it's like it sounds like to me that we're in the battle of attention span.
You want something quick that you can be satisfied with, that have the whole conclusion of the whole season.
Again, because I'm old and I'm from that generation, I'm looking at it like, these things just ain't long enough. Like,
So like,
where was the character build up? Like,
so I think one that done quite well, which I know we spoke on their training arcs, but I think Demon Slayer, with the fast pace and quickness of things, with the story, I like it. But at the same time, there is still room that I would like to see certain training arcs. Even Solo Leveling, it's mad quick.
Yeah, but that's the
then,
beauty. That's the beauty
again-
of it. You're gonna miss that. That when it's
Yeah,
done,
yeah, I agree.
you're gonna be like, wow, you signed that off. Perfect.
I want more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Solo Leveling was only like that because of the way the director cut it. Like, Solo Leveling manga has a lot more substance to it than what we're seeing in the, like, compared to, like, you missed a lot
You did.
of
Yeah.
Jinwoo leveling up. Like, again, you actually
mangas
get to see him solo leveling. Like, what you see is you see Jinwoo on some glow up. In the anime,
Man,
Jinwoo's
he's
on
just
some glow up.
smoking everybody.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it almost. I feel like if you watch the anime and you haven't read the comic, you kind of got that moment where you're like, okay, cool. This guy's just OP in a season. Like, cool, bro. Like,
Like for instance, I never read the manga, but I enjoyed the anime in it.
Same.
But yeah, that's another thing I was gonna ask as well. Like for yourself, I can tell probably like myself, I'm commonly just an anime watcher. But is there any mangas that you've actually picked up and looked at?
I did pick up JJK, but the sole reason of that was because I was on Twitter and I caught the craziest spoiler
I think
of all time.
Stupid. You shouldn't be talking about
That should never have been spoken about.
Yeah.
As soon as it was happening, right? So then I saw that, I said, well, I'm not watching the anime anymore. I might as well just read the manga like at this point, just see why it happened, and see what they were talking about at that point. I also I read Dragon Ball Super as well, just because I like Dragon Ball. I was kind of curious what was going on there.
Would you also agree that manga is, would you say, less wordy? Is it easier to read than comics? Is it
I
like,
wouldn't say that. But you know what?
Because I used to collect comics way back in the day, and I've read manga as well. So I wouldn't say it's less wordy. I honestly, for me, it's the stories. It's just like I feel like if you took one writer, right, and one illustrator, and just had a run, just like a manga in a comic, I think we'd see a whole different type of story. I think it could revive the superhero industry.
But essentially, you're literally talking about the reason why comics was lit back in the day was because Stan Lee
exactly
was doing his thing as the man that was doing his thing.
And Stan Lee oversaw everything, so things had to be in line. You couldn't just come with a story and be like, right, today Spider-Man is this, tomorrow Spider-Man is part Hulk.
Steve Jobs
doesn't
and the
make
iPhone.
sense. Huh?
Steve Jobs and the iPhone.
Bro, it's true.
They're struggling right now with that, bro.
It's true. You know, and it's like where that one voice has gone, you know, like Stan Lee left Marvel a long time ago, and you can see it. Like you can literally see when he left and how comics have changed since. It's been horrible. It's yes, there have been one-off stories here and there that have been great, but the run it's not been great. Everything's different.
Yeah.
I pick up a new story. It's different to the last one I read.
Yeah.
No consistency. It's
Yeah. And going back to the stories, do you think the stories in manga resonate more with people today? That zero to hero, everyone's feeling. Well, I say the young are feeling hopeless. So this zero to hero story, this story of perseverance, watching the protagonist make it and defeat all odds, is that more inspiring?
I think for sure is I feel like is easier to digest like that kind of content where there's like a natural progression. Like the zero to hero, it's like a time tested storyline. Yeah, like it's easier to understand, it's easier to relate with.
Yeah.
Whereas like you were saying with superheroes, they could be doing this 1 second and be zombies the next second, and then fighting off aliens. It's harder to be like to stick with, when you don't stick with one story. It's harder to stay with everything that they're changing it to.
Yeah, and I know it's shonen. We're talking about shonen, but I think over in the West, I feel like it's shonen that's carried this anime wave,
The anime push
the furthest, the hardest. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much going on now as well, and what I am seeing is that, do you know, is there a type of situation where when you see one comic or a few comics, how many times can you see a man in a leotard?
It's so true, bro. You're speaking the truth.
Like
100%.
Like, and I feel like I'm gonna get absolutely smoked in the comments for
get smoked
for saying this shit.
Not for that what you just said. Like, I don't want to see a big man in spandex.
Like,
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, and it's just like even the new Superman. Like when I saw the outfit, I was like, okay, bro, cool story. It just the big wide fronts, and I was like, it was a good movie. But the outfit for me just was a bit like,
how do you feel getting saved by a brother in panties?
Man, I'm not finished.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm done.
It's true.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
Imagine that your man's carrying you like out of a fire.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just in the arms.
And there's photos of man like this.
There's a fireman carrying your head's right by Chris Brown.
Like, bro, come on, allow me. I feel like anime's got a little bit more variety as well in terms of like costumes, outfits, and whatnot. Like you've either we're talking ninjas, we're talking like samurai. You know what I mean? There's a lot more. I feel like there's a lot more fashion going on in anime where they're taking all these different aspects.
That's the thing you're talking about, the cosplaying in Comic-Cons and stuff. That's probably a big reason why, because
there's more diversity.
Exactly. There's only so many like costumes for superheroes.
But the outfits are more realistic. Like they're more, if you go to Japan, there are people that are going to be wearing those type of clothing. It's realistic. Whereas a superhero in leotard, spandex, tight clothes, like how many people are you seeing wearing that on a daily basis?
You're already feeling a bit conscious about going Comic-Con and dressed up anyway, let alone being on the tube with some tights.
With a cape.
Last year's Comic-Con, I did see the sickest Batman I've ever seen. He must have been on stilts because he was like 10 foot tall.
They have like the armor,
and it was the old Batman, you know. Batman.
Okay.
And the way he looked, he was like, and he gave me the nod.
So you met Batman?
So
Batman.
That I felt like that when we see that dude that looked sick as like Firefish Ace. Do you remember that?
He never had no hole in the stomach, though, innit?
Bro, nah, he never.
I see some disrespectful ones going on out there, bro.
Do you know the most disrespectful cosplay I've seen was when
Dragon Tanjiro.
Yeah, man, Dragon Tanjiro, bro. I was like, no way. That was the one. That was the one. Yeah, I do want to see comic books choose to do a different path. I feel like I like them. Stories can feel a bit cheese sometimes. I feel like they're trying to make it like, you know, I'm a normal guy, and then I've something's happened to me that made my origin story happen, and then I just feel like what I would like to see from comic books is maybe taking a leaf out of K-drama. I don't know why, but like the storytelling in the character development from how they do, like I believe there's like a concept that they use, and I forget the name. Is it Kiten Show? I think is that Japanese or is that? I want to say Kiten Show. Like I might be wrong, but yeah, I feel like there's a like within Hollywood and like American storytelling, it's like conflict drama resolution.
Right.
Yeah, whereas in Korea, they do it differently, and I want to say it's Kiten Show badly, but I could be wrong. They have like a different way, which means more that they focus on character development, and that's why I feel like people now are resonating with these K-dramas in a different way. And one that we've seen that was a webtoon was Mercy for None was pretty cool. Weakest Hero as well. That's a live action on Netflix. These are live actions on Netflix. Okay.
4 parts of the story is introduction, development, twist, and conclusion.
Okay. And I feel like that side of it just gives, and I feel like they're utilizing that in Japanese manga as well. Whether or not it's just intentional, or that's just the way it ends up. The penny's been dropping.
Culture, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that if we give that a dynamic with having consistent writers and consistent, because DC actually have a manual out there, right? They actually have a manual out there on how to create their comics. And it is very like, one, I think what comics do well is that they create very, very cinematic. So like it's all cinematic, like it's all perspectively drawn. It's all the way like every scene has a methodology behind it. Because most mangaka are just coming from passion, they might not be like trained in that dynamic, and I feel like that's where you're getting this difference of like stories where it doesn't feel like the same thing all the time. Whereas like there's a uniform vision across the water where they're all conforming to this situation that is like, so it's like you watch
that might be that monotony we always talking about.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. And
is that like a constraint, you reckon? Constraint of creativity?
Potentially, but I feel like it's like when you've got, and you're right, it could be that, because essentially we're saying this is the method. Use these methods in order to portray what we're doing.
Don't go outside of that.
Because this is the brand.
And I can't say that it's a don't go outside of it, but it might just be something where it just ends up becoming that way on the basis that that's just how kind of thing, like, oh, this is just how you do things, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
I've got a question. All right. How can this be fixed? How can this be, how can the superhero industry, the comics, how can it be saved? Like what is a solution that can be used to fix this situation? Because
get stressed.
if it carries on the way it's going, then all manga are gonna surpass comics. Because right now, One Piece is, I can't even remember the numbers, but I know
One Piece is set to outsell Shakespeare.
That's the
crazy.
thing.
That's mad. That's a mad dynamic.
That is not.
Do you know what I mean? So what is the, obviously I'm never gonna go against anime, but what is the solution? What is the
Consistency.
consistency?
For consistency's sake.
Yeah.
For consistency's sake, because this is one of the major differences. I said earlier, the manga has one author. He does the art, typically, does the art and writes the story. In a comic, there's a team. There's one person that does the line out. There's one person that does the coloring. There's one person that does the wording, etc., etc. There's a team, and then for every run, that team changes. Is likely to change. Maybe not necessarily all the time, but there's no consistency. So just be more consistent with your teams. Have the same team maybe for the next run or whatever. Like,
I think that's what it is, because for viewers, it's like, yeah, man, having one person do it all, best thing. But for that person, we're seeing a lot of mangakas out there that are
dying.
Yeah. Can I also say as well that I think that part of it is, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and I've said this before, algorithm versus creativity. Algorithm, you're always focusing on the trend. And I see that within Marvel and DC, like they what they release is a trend. Like, and I would say, like, look what we got with Black Panther, Eyes of Wakanda. Yeah.
And the Marvel zombies.
Yeah.
Was that
I ain't seen that yet, so I can't attest to it. But like, for me, we wouldn't have had Eyes of Wakanda if we didn't have Arcane. In the sense of, we might have had Eyes of Wakanda, but the animation style for me was like, okay, cool, you've deep that Arcane is what everybody liked. Arcane. Let's create our own thing in that kind of
yeah.
And then now you're just in that situation, like so. I do want to see things where it's like they're just out of that algorithm and they're focusing on creativity first, which is where it all stems from.
I was going to say, I think what they're looking for is freshness, but they're looking at other things for it rather than trying to come up with something fresh themselves.
Yeah.
And that they're losing the like originality battle essentially.
Yeah.
Right, correct.
I think one thing that seems to be like getting some good feedback is when they do the what if. I think that's probably why they're showing a bit of
the animation side.
Yeah, animation style, things are a bit different. Story-wise, again, don't get me wrong, I know we're saying that they need to have some consistency, but what if leaves for room to be what if, in it is like Black Mirror, everything is going to be different. So you're watching it knowing things are going to be different rather than, I don't know, picking up a comic, reading what's going on, knowing what you know about that character, and then you pick up another one and you're like, hold on a minute.
That's probably why it did so well, because that's how they marketed it. It was supposed to be like that, and everyone sort of was on board with that, knowing that they're going to see that watching it. But with all the rest of the comic books, sometimes you just want that linearity.
Yeah, that canon, that main story, man. You just
when it comes to the freshness, though, don't you think it's a bit annoying that there are so many characters
in the Marvel and DC
universe? Like, I'm talking hundreds. I got an encyclopedia of DC characters, and when I'm talking, there's 200 pages of characters, villains and good guys, and we only see the same 50. Like, don't you feel like they're not utilizing their roster of characters they could use?
You know what? Marvel rivals the game. What like opened my eyes to like how
many characters.
There were so many different characters, but you've never seen them touch movies, TV shows, anything like that.
I feel like that's an issue. Like you keep using the same character, same 5 are the Avengers,
and then just slightly changing their story a little bit.
Yeah, it's like freshness. You got the freshness there. You just ain't using it.
Yeah, I think I don't like. I'm fed up of hearing. With great power comes great responsibility.
I hear that line one more time.
Like, who is powerful from the start? And that's the thing. That's the thing with comics that doesn't resonate with me is most of these characters, even the ones that we don't know about, they're just powerful from the get-go. Or something happens to them and instantly they change forever and they're powerful.
And they're powerful as well.
Whereas
Do you know
I
what's so
find
mad?
the
I've never
manga
deeped it. They
really...
don't have training arcs in comics.
Well, no. Batman Rago.
Batman had a training arc. Spider-Man had a
He's
training
the
arc.
only one,
Those
and
are
that's
the
why
two
he's
I
my
can vouch
favourite.
for.
Spider-Man's training arc.
And Batman, he's actually different
Batman
to what
is
we're
my
talking about in
favourite
terms of, facts, man. He's someone who, bro, besides him being a billionaire, he's a
He's
normal
rich,
person,
fine.
right?
But he lost everything.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
He lost everything that he knew that he loved, didn't it?
So with Spider-Man, so the way the movies have portrayed him, like that's not how he was the neighborhood friendly Spider-Man. He started with the low level crimes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Before he got to like the Thanos, he could never do that
and
in the
Tony Stark
beginning.
reached out.
Where just
Yeah,
that never happened.
in
You see what I mean?
certain
So
versions.
he was
Because
a street level.
They were already so invested in what they had, and they had to make him tie in with everything that they were
But
already
now,
doing.
what they're doing is now they're taking him back.
Mm.
So now he's fought Thanos and all the big man there, and now he's going back to street level, which to me don't make sense.
Don't make
Do you get what I mean?
Mm.
But that's what they want to do. But his training arc was literally he was street level crime, bank robberies,
I remember,
all of that stuff, and then he progressed.
Mm-hmm.
He got so much attention that he was recruited into the Avengers to start working.
But
do you see what I mean?
See how you said with the Thanos thing, it just popped in my head, but like, what do you do when there's no cosmic threats no more? I mean, your neighborhood.
Well, they can't let their characters die. They don't let their characters die. Like, as in end. There's no end and there's no room for the fresh one to come in.
Sometimes that's needed, man. I'll be real. I feel like All Might should have died and Deku should have just progressed from there. Like, he shouldn't have come back.
I know what you mean by that.
But I feel like All Might did.
Bro, man,
he did die.
He came out with a suit. He came out with a suit of armor.
But
finished,
the suit
innit?
armor,
He's not.
He held out for a 10-second battle, man.
But it's like, what's even the point of that?
Should have just died, and Deku would have just. You know how Deku's gone to that? He went to that dark mode. It should have went. He would have went dark mode from there.
Okay, and now I like the idea of that. That would have been cool. That because it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I like that. That's cool.
My brother started watching My Hero because of that.
Do you know the biggest like Marvel fumble that I feel like they've done? Yeah, is the Spider-Man story. The fact that they ain't touched on the fact that he got his powers from the Anansi. That's like that for me. That for me is like probably like and again I feel like with what they saw from how much the black community will get behind the IP when it shows them and whatnot. Yeah. Bro, like that would have been dope to see, like find out like that.
The problem with that is that they don't know enough about Anansi to portray him properly. What they gave in the comics is very minimal. He is just the ultimate. He's the top. This is where it came from, and he's the all powerful one. Whereas, if they know the culture, they know Anansi is all over West Africa. Even Jamaica and the Caribbean have the same thing.
Again, though, that's nothing more than hiring the right team.
I understand, but again, this is something that they're not doing and they're not going to do. Do you get what I mean? So
especially now with DEI.
So now, like, to have that story come out, and especially like you said with the DEI, to have the almighty power being a black character, this is the top. He is the essence of why Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Okay.
It's a bit. Do we really want to do that? I don't think we're ever going to get that Anansi story, but that story is top tier.
Okay.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine like it would bang. It would bang differently, and even I would say it should be Miles Morales like tired, because they're all there.
Yeah,
They're all there.
But now, like Rich said, it's techie because now you're saying Miles Morales, you come after the main, everyone know Peter Parker, has now become number one top.
No. But what we're talking about is just allowing, because all the Spider-Men, Spider-Women are all in that verse. It gives it. You could have a whole concept around their powers or something having an issue or something, and they've got to go back and.
So he's talking about the Into the Spider-Verse, where you have all of the spider characters there. Like, I think that would be a good way to introduce and actually
and I'm just talking about an in. I'm just purely talking about an in. Like, I'm not.
To be fair, even if that was the case where Miles Morales was, further along than the original Spider-Man, I don't even think that would be that bad of a thing, really.
Yeah, fair.
Again, because and I think they could sell it like it's a different universe, so who cares?
It's true.
Yeah, can't lie. It works for them, man. Like, it does in terms of,
but it's
putting
not
out what you want to put out. But
it's not. Is it?
Plus,
Is
he's already got like
sales
an extra 2
decreasing?
powers on him
Right,
anyway. So.
right.
I hear that.
That's true. That's also true. That's also true.
Next time on Nani Talks.
Kaiju number 8. That's like a top tier one
That's
for
a
me.
fun watch.
It's so fun. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why.
Did you feel like that with season 1?
Yeah, I did.
See, season 1 for me felt flat. Season 2, I'm locked in.